Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the Mental Wellness channel with Waihiga. If you're new here, I hope that you stick around and take a listen to what I have to share. Today, I want us to look at a really serious case. Let's take a look at this video and then we're going to discuss it afterwards.
She died by jumping in front of a moving train. I'll say it with confidence, it killed my daughter. But ironically, till today, even our statement has not been taken. The easiest way to explain this is to use the pattern of incidents from the beginning to the end. It's going to help you understand what actually happened. When he met her, even he has confirmed it himself, she was very perfect and she actually inspired him. When she showed me his picture, I've never been in agreement with him at all. I've always told my daughter, the reason why you were able to finish your university was because you didn't have a boyfriend. I know what guys do, I know how we do with girls, and I know how girls do. Don't fall in love yet, just try. You finished your degree because there was no boyfriend. Now, you're at KPMG, you've got a mission, a target. Get your ACA first, then you're free, and you'll have more options. So when this guy came up and she showed me his picture, I was not happy, and she knew. But I didn't tell her directly to her face that no, otherwise she would start hiding things from me. But she knew I was not happy about it. That was how I got to know about him. But after meeting her, like I said, there's this pattern of incidents from the beginning to when she died. And I'm saying let's split into 3 sections. So the first part, after meeting her, she was fine. The first part are things that he did that made her vulnerable. Now, I will tell you what the examples. He met her, he didn't tell her he had an infection. The infection is a viral, it's called herpes. Because herpes is permanent, there's no cure. Once you catch it, you're a carrier. You'd have to explain to your next partner that you have it, if you're honest. So you infected her deliberately, that's like to trap her. She can't go anywhere else. That's one. Wasn't allowed to speak to other men. He also misrepresented. He pretended I was a very rich guy who had multiple businesses. This is my daughter who I look after, I support. She now feels she has found somebody. Took her to his parents in Spain, promised to marry her, promised to invest in her future. My brother, this thing now turned out to be lies. He didn't have the money he claimed to have. All the plans he planned with her, he couldn't afford them. That went on for a while. The second section of events, I feel, what made her mental health deteriorate. So after doing all those things to the person, imagine now, all of a sudden, he starts shouting at her. There's evidence of all these things. Asking for a bank statement, demanding for money. My daughter can never even let me see a bank statement. The evidence we have, she now started, after that event, she panicked and started doing web searches on how to take her life. We found out afterwards. The final part are things he did that actually led to her doing what she did. Because even the corona, when they want to look at this thing, they won't just look at how she died, they look at the circumstances that led to it. So the final things which he did, which I think broke the camel's back, the final straw, after shouting and demanding for her bank statements, he now went and stole her password. Broke into her phone when she was sleeping. This he has already admitted in writing. When she was sleeping, stole her information, threatened her with the information he stole by saying that he had told her friends, removed her from his house violently and seized her passport, which she required to claim the money, and all her belongings, kicked her out. So I've broken into your phone, I've stolen your information, I've threatened you, and I pushed you away. So when this thing was getting out of hand and he had broken into her phone, she called her mother, and mother rushed to Manchester. Then the following day, it continued. The mother was actually a witness to what happened when he was making his demands over the phone, threats and all that, and when he was gaslighting her. So the mother was totally broken. After the communication between themselves, which lasted about 6 p.m. or so, she told her mother she was going for a walk to clear her mind. The mother was saying she shouldn't go, that she'll make some dinner, whatever, then she'll hold on. She said that mother shouldn't worry, she's got her phone, she's coming back. And Alice didn't come back. She died on the 29th of May in the UK at Manchester, a station called Eccles. She died by jumping in front of a moving train. So the mother has been so...
So this young woman, Annalise, was living in the United Kingdom, as we've seen. Her father, Oladapo, came out with this video and this interview talking about how his daughter ended up deleting herself or committing suicide last year, May 2023. I came across this story and I could not get it out of my head. It is one of the saddest things that I have ever heard, but unfortunately it is something that is so common, and it's something that I hear all the time. And it's not only something that I hear all the time, I have been through things like this. The only thing is that I have survived, and I'm here to tell you about it. So let's get into it. I'm here basically to beg women, young women, wherever you are in the world. Do not fall for the lies of men. Do not fall for it. Whatever you do, do not fall for it, because it will end up costing you your life. Whether by their hands or your own hands, it will end up costing you your life. And I have been there. I have been in relationships that were so bad, so abusive, that you deteriorate to the point that you want to take your own life. It is simply not worth it. This woman was going places. She had finished her degree. She was going places until she met this guy. And he sucked her in. He absolutely sucked her in. Infected her with an STD. Broke down whatever self-esteem that she had. Probably was some emotional abuse in that relationship. And then all hell broke loose. You know, he pretended to be a rich guy. He conned her. He manipulated her. He lied to her. Took full advantage of her vulnerabilities. And then started to exploit her. It's evil. It's really evil. And what's sad today in this day and age is if you are not on your P's and Q's, if you are not serious about yourself as a woman, the world will teach you in the worst way possible. Like, if I tell you my story, I'm telling you, if you attempt to do the things that I have done, or if you attempt to do some of the things that I have done, you will not survive. You will not survive. I am only alive simply because of the grace of God. I don't know if God's grace will extend that far for you. So please, if you have ears to hear what I'm telling you. If you have eyes to see what I'm telling you. Please do not give your body to a man that is not your husband. Don't do it. You see that Bible, that old ancient book, dust it off from whatever shelf you've put it on, crack it open and read it. Read it diligently and read it every single morning. Because the times we're in, it's not a joke. You can get killed by so many things. There are 1,000 ways to die. Your lover is your enemy. Your friends are setting you up. I mean, the enemy and evil is every single where. Everyone is a predator. Keeping yourself pure and clean and cleansed is hard enough. So for this woman to have fallen so deeply in love with a falsehood, this guy was fake, completely fake. To have fallen in love with a falsehood who gave her herpes, and she was so beautiful, filled her head with all these lies like he was rich, took her to Spain to meet his parents. So the parents are also in on the lie. And that's another thing about the parents of these boys today. It doesn't matter if you meet his parents. It used to mean something back in the day. Meeting the parents used to mean something. Now it doesn't mean anything. You're just one of 1,000 girls. A man's family will keep his secrets. His sisters will keep his secrets. Just because you've met his mother doesn't mean anything. Just because you've met his father doesn't mean anything. Just because you've slept over at his house doesn't mean anything. In fact, if he's still living in his house with his parents, that is a huge red flag. So the parents are in on this. They lie to this little girl. They can see that the boy is stringing along this child. They can see that this boy is stringing on this child, and they just get in on it. And to any girl, meeting the parents legitimizes the relationship. Whenever a man says, I'm going to marry you, you're going to meet my parents, and you actually meet the parents, this is like one step closer to like, oh my gosh, he's actually serious. It's like the carrot that they dangle in front of your eyes. I'm gonna marry you one day. I'm gonna marry you one day. Just hang on in there. And as a young 20-something-year-old, I can see how she was fooled by that. And then he flips the table on her, steals out of all her bank account. Somehow she's kicked out of the country, whatever. And then she comes to and realizes, like, this guy isn't who I thought he was. I'm never gonna get married to him. And this guy has taken me for a ride. You know, the STD, I can see her in her mind like he was my husband. Like I would stay with him forever. But this guy has literally just played me. Like he's played me and I fell for it. And I was willing to do anything for him. And she went into self-blame. And it probably just became too much. And she couldn't do it. She just couldn't do it. She threw herself in front of a train. It's so sad. Do you think that man is mourning for her? This is another chick that he managed to fool. And when that father says that, you know, he thinks the boyfriend is responsible for her death and he holds that person responsible for her death, I completely agree with that father, Oladapo. You have to know the power that you hold over someone, and you have to know the manipulation and the things that you were doing to someone. Sooner or later, that poor girl was going to find out that this was all a game and she was going to figure it out. What do you think she was going to do when she found out? This is why I'm so tired of men playing with women. But we also have a responsibility as women. We let them play these games. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the game wasn't as severe. Like you could get away with your life. So you'd be depressed for like 2 years. Yes, you'd be depressed, you'd feel like a fool. Yes, there would be consequences to getting played by a man, but not ending your own life. Now these are the consequences of getting played. I personally don't want to get played anymore. So what did I do? I took myself out of the game. Take yourself out of the game. Focus on God, focus on yourself, focus on other things. There's so much more to life than the opposite sex, on romance, on sex. You can live a life without sex. A truly satisfying one. If you give it all to God, if you surrender it all to Jesus, if you put it all at the foot of the cross, He can truly fulfill you. You can be single for the rest of your life and be happy. But to deal with this, it's just not God's will. So young women everywhere, I urge you to please take yourself out of the game and use this girl's story as a cautionary tale. The game is rigged and it's dirty. It's not the same as it used to be. I don't know what type of demons people are picking up these days, but they're causing us to kill ourselves. How can you pass an STD on to someone without any remorse, without feeling a thing? You know, my condolences go out to the mother and the father of this angel, this child, just a victim of evilness. The evil that is a product of this fallen world. And in the interview, the dad did say that one of the reasons he's sharing this story is because he would like for people to hear this story and to hear what happened so that they can take note. And that's exactly what I'm doing. It's incredibly saddening that this happened. However, you have to also see yourself in this. See yourself in this and see how it can happen to you. See how you can save yourself. Don't play around. This is not the day and age for playing around. If you're still having sex and you're single, stop it. Stop it. If you're still having sex and you're single, stop it. If you're dating and you know it's not God's purpose for you, stop it. If you are in a relationship that you know God doesn't want you to be in, get out of it. It's time to make God our idol. It's time to stop messing about. Kindly like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook for more. Until the next video, guys.